Welcome. I'm Douglas of HT Ellsworth, and this is Dying to Retire. Join me on my candid journey from my government job to the freedom of retirement. As the last of the baby boomers, I'm hanging up my federal badge and diving into what comes next. I will talk about what led to my decision on why it's time for me to retire, what I did right, and what mistakes I have made. I am not an HR expert or a financial advisor, so I have made a few mistakes. This podcast is a safe space for non-woke people, and while I try to keep everything somewhat above board, if it has to be said bluntly, it will be. Vegas rules apply, so let's get started. Hopefully everybody's doing okay, and I'm back. Unfortunately, I've been out of the office this past week. It was an unintended vacation, if you could call it. Despite having the vaccination for the shingles shot, or I got the shingles shot for the vaccination, I still ended up getting shingles again. So all week long, I have been playing itchy scratchy in places that you probably should not be scratching while at work. So I took the time off since I have all the extra time in the world that I have to burn, because if I cash it out, I'm going to probably get taxed at 30, almost 40% to 50%. So, but I went in Thursday night, and I went in because I had to do my timesheet. So I went in there for like 30 minutes, did my timesheet, but then I looked at one of my emails and I finally got it from the HR department. They sent me my first packet for retirement. So it's the first for retirement checklist. I have that here. Then I have the wonderful booklet from OPM that I printed out, applying for immediate retirement, which is weird. It's not immediate. It's about 5 months out under the federal employees retirement system. And I'm just going to go over here a little bit what I received, and I'm running it through, and it's broken up in two sides. Now, I got a lot of printouts that came underneath it, but the checklist is the first thing I'm going to go over and have what's the form name. I got to go to and a little bit of notes on it, just for folks know, to put it in context, what I have to start going through this, myself and my wife. So, and this is probably why it's a 3 to 5 month process. The first thing it has is on the checklist is application for immediate retirement, which is SF 3107, which is the federal form. Remember, review and complete the section A through I. I must physically initial within a box in section D and must sign and date within section I. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Hopefully it does match it in there. So like I said, I printed out the copy here where I can run through it. So when I go into and do the PDF or the better PDF version, I'll have it there. Now, also on SF 3107, I have to do schedules A, B, and C. A, B, and C is only applicable if I have military service. Yes, I do, or workers' compensation claims. Nope. Now, I'm going to get back to the military service thing because I already had to do something this evening, getting all the way down there. Also, the spousal consent for survivor election on SF 3107-2. That's on this form here. It's only applicable if I am married and elect partial or no survivor benefits. Remember when I was talking about the SSA the other day, the what I call three apocalypse, forget the three horsemen of the pension apocalypse. On there, one of them is the SSA. This is where I have to fill that out. And if I check the full or max, which is actually only 50%, I don't need my spouse to sign. However, if I had selected the reduced or 50% and or none, I'd have to have my wife sign. As it said, white out, there's what's going in there. Must be signed and dated by spouse in front of a notary. That's how serious they are in this one. You can't get away from it. Like I said before, you can't say, hey, hon, if I'm not getting something on that special Wednesday nights and Friday nights, no, you can't play that game. I wish I could. No, I can't. So it is a joint effort on that one. Next on is designation of beneficiary. And this is on the checklist. All I have to start doing designation of beneficiary, SF 3102 FERS slash RG 120 FERS special. I'm not that. This is law enforcement and a couple other things. Now it says don't put your location on there, must be completed without any scratches, whiteout, or corrections. Witnesses can be anyone except the beneficiaries listed. So I have to look in that form, which I don't exactly have in here. Look in there and see what I got have to be signed. I'll let you know how easy these forms are for retirement. Now, next one on there's, and again, this is part of the three horsemen of the pension apocalypse. FEGLI continuation of life insurance, SF 2818. It's the federal form SF 2818. And the guidance they have in here, and hopefully it makes sense when I go through it, is do not fill in agency or location name, must be completed without any scratches, whiteout, or corrections. FEGLI coverage can be carried into retirement if you've carried it for 5 years immediately preceding your retirement date. Again, like I talked about a couple episodes ago, for the health benefits and for the FEGLI, I've had to have that for 5 years prior to going in there. Now, that's the one that in talking to the class we had for the people getting ready to retire, like 1 or 2 years out, the OPM expert was talking about there, and she recommended people, retirees, select 75% instead of the 50% or no reduction, because one, it's going to reduce no matter what, but the premiums keep going through the roof. I do not want to do that. I'm trying to keep as much money in my pocket for the monthly. That way I take less coming out of my TSP distribution, which I'm looking forward. That was really interesting in the background. So I want to do that. Again, I'm having this on my podcast, which will also be another media's. If I can make money on it, make money on it. If not, I not understand. So that's the FEGLI continuation on there. The must be completed without any scratches. Again, it's another one of those things. How many people are scratching this shit up or using whiteout? That's pretty strange. Coverage can only be carried into retirement, like I mentioned before. Now, also on SF 2823, the form, the FEGLI designation of beneficiary. Married, it's going to go to the wife. Again, must be complete. Why do they give these instructions like that? There's someone, it's kind of like the do not use, like for the hair dryer. Let's do not use it in the shower. Well, no shit. But witness can be anyone except the beneficiaries again. Okay, so no whiteout, no corrections, no whiteout tape, scratch it off, initials, nothing on that. Has to be written down once. Again, that's why I print it out where I can write it in there. So when I go onto the actual form, the PDF or the PDF form that I'm able to put it in there, it'll be good. Next thing is statement regarding former spouse, RG-4. Required even if no former spouse. Okay, I'll just look at that when I get to it. That's going to be interesting. Never heard of that one before. But okay, must be completed even if you have no former spouse. So if you were single all the way, you had to fill out that form out. That's going to be kind of cool. Okay, next one. Federal tax withholding form for pension, W4P. Okay, this one's going to bear me looking in for a little bit more. For federal income tax withheld, please fill out address indicating filing status, complete steps 2 through 4 as applicable, sign and date. What the hell is 2 through 4? Steps 2 through 4. Okay, 4 is putting in how many people in, how many deductions. Me and my spouse, that's the 2. It's like you do for standard deductions. Claiming to dependent or spouse or other credits you want. Other income not from the jobs, distribution, extra withholding. Okay, this is going to be like the old W4 when I be able to write my stuff in there. I normally withheld for each payment. I sometimes do where I don't get messed up because state of Maryland's really weird. So I do it on the back end here. State of Maryland's always gotten me. It's Montgomery County. They tax you through the ass. Yeah, and it's like a proctologist going up there getting something. So it is. So that's what that is on there. Okay, next one. I have to make sure I have my marriage certificate. And this is where I have to laugh because I'm going to go to the last item here. I submitted it a long time ago. Apparently, I have to submit it again, but only if I'm married. So, okay, I am. So I have to. Final divorce decree and property settlement agreement. Only applicable if divorced during federal employment or if remarried. Okay, I do have a former spouse, but that all predates my federal time, so this does not apply to her. I have to laugh. This is something my spouse is always concerned, my current spouse. My wife is concerned that my former spouse may or would try to get any of my federal benefits. She cannot. We were not married when I was in the military, nor were we married when I was started working for the federal government. So she's shit out of luck there. But I know how women can be catty and worried about things, so it's kind of interesting there. No, I wasn't trying to be sexist. I was talking about reality. So there's the main parts on the checklist that I'm going to be having to go through now. The last thing is your DD 214 member 4 copy, which is the undeleted copy. Only applicable if military service, must be, what's the word that's written here? Must be member 4 copy. I had to look in there, and that's the one that shows everything, why you got left the service, honorable, other than honorable, any medical information, all of that has to be in there. It's the full blown form. What's interesting is when I got hired, they had a copy of the whole thing. When I bought back or bought back my military time to put it towards my federal service, which I had to pay money monthly. I paid it off in the first couple of years because I went full balls to the wall for the payment instead of making it like 5 or 6 years. I gave them a copy of my DD 214, and now I have to do another copy of my DD 214. However, I don't know where the hell it is. It's somewhere in the safe. I don't want to go through there and pull it out. So what I did, I went online and I requested a copy of the DD 214. What's interesting on there, and let's see if I can get it, still the page up there where I got it from. 1 second. God, I hate when I do that. I hate when my computer's super slow either, because that's one of the worst things in the world. So what happened is I sent the thing out and it went to the NPRC website for the archive. It's the VE Veteran Records Archive for the federal government. I went to that website and requested a copy of my DD 214. I requested it for the whole thing because you could have requested for deleted or undeleted. What I find funny on that website is if it said if you need this for federal retirement, you don't need to submit the request. However, I'm sitting at the OPM document. It says, yeah, you need a copy of it. So I have two government entities of the federal government not talking to each other because once OPM says I do need it, that website says I don't. Better safe than sorry. Get me the other stuff. It's kind of interesting for the marriage certificate, and I'll talk about it later. Actually, I have that on hand is because I'm trying to register my marriage, my wife's and I marriage, where it gets registered in Guatemala, where she's originally from, because she does have her dual citizenship, does have her DPI, but I need to have our our marriage registered for there. And that way, when it comes time for me to be able to get spousal residency, so I don't have to do the 90-day visa stuff, that will all have to apply. I'll have that in another episode of going through that process we had to do for her just to get all that done. We're fortunate in Montgomery County, Maryland here because we're out just outside the DC metro area. The Guatemalan consulate is down in Rockville. So we were able to get that done, but it was a lot of back and forth going in there. But I'll detail that later in a different episode. So these are all the things I have to go through. Once I get all the forms in, these forms in, my retirement specialist will send the forms below at a later date. Payment information sheet, which will have to read carefully for the estimated schedule of annuity leave payout, final paychecks, and OPM processing. So it's going to tell me about how long. In the class I took, they said, give yourself a month to 2 months. They're actually getting quicker. So part of my thing is you're going to get a payout there, but when the annuities start, you're going to be a couple months. So you have to give yourself some cushion. And if anyone's been around for the federal government for a long time, you never know when we're going to go into a funding stuff when Congress and the Senate and everyone can't get freaking together. We get furloughed all the time. Wonderful stuff that's going on there. So you should always have 6 months to a year worth of your salary on stamp, not your salary, what your net spending for 6 months to a year. Have that on hand so you can get you through the rough times, because you never know when the federal government is going to go on, not furlough, what's the name? And it escapes me. If someone hit me up in the comment section, I appreciate it. My brain just went down south. Hey, I'm sick. I'm not feeling well. And I'm playing itchy, scratchy. Leave me alone. All right. But that's going in there. So you should have that. I do, fortunate on there. Next thing is retirement reminder checklist. Supposed to read it carefully. Yes, I will. And sign and date it to acknowledge. You don't have to complete each item before signing. Okay. Let me be the judge of that. Certified summary of federal service. It's a pre-filled out by the specialist. Complete sections E, page 2, and sign and date. So I got to see what E is. I'll keep you informed. Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU. I've made a lot of different people sign MOUs before. Now it's my MOU. And it's probably the understanding of everything that's going to be happening to me in retirement. Now, getting to the booklet that they sent me, and I don't know on there. Why do I go backwards on that one? Okay. You ever put the paper clip on the wrong side? So when you open it, it opens the wrong way. Yeah, that's what I just did. So what's in here is I have a booklet. It's a printout, like 24 pages, and it goes over reduction annuity retirement. So I have, like I said before, if you don't meet your minimum retirement age, I do have my retirement age and the 20 years. So reduction annuity retiring employee. That's if you're not over 60. So this is where I'm looking at everything on there. So it's going to go good. And this pamphlet's just explaining a lot that was in the class that I attended. Again, always telling everyone attend the class. It's very important. If your federal entity offers them, take them. If you're in a private sector, they offer stuff similar, take them. They're highly beneficial. They get through the stuff. They go over the stuff you need to know. But what the good thing is, if you take it sooner, you know what you need to start looking at to be ready for retirement. That's it for today. Curious, concerned, or just want to chat? I'm all ears. Reach out at dyingtoretirepodcast@gmail.com. And if you find yourself nodding along or you just enjoy the ride, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Hasta luego.